He has that cool, calm demeanor every time he's on the field.
Like lasagna. But come on, man. Come on, Nick Chubbs. You lost a lot of people, a lot of money.
Was this the time, the game was over. Was this the time I was watching the Orange County Housewives doing this movie?
We lost you on Football Sunday.
Lost me on Football Sunday. You know that, Zubin?
It's easy to get distracted, Zubin.
Well, Jay and I watched The Real Housewives of New Jersey. That's kind of more our bent, right? So.
No, I watched about 3.5 hours of that yesterday morning.
What? How'd you get on that?
Because I had the baby, and we was sitting there, and she fell asleep, and there was nothing on. Like, there was just nothing, and I got tired of watching killing movies, shows, ID Network and Snapped and all that on Oxygen. So I was like, I went to Bravo. I was like, it started off with the Atlanta Housewives and they get to arguing and stuff. Then I said, well, let me find even more of a train wreck. And so I just waited for the Orange County Housewives. That's tough, boy. I watched,
and that's what we stopped talking about.
I watched 3.5 hours, 4 hours of it, Zubin.
You binge watched that?
I just sat there and watched it. It's interesting, It's
they're putting a lot of things together out there.
That too.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of things
certainly
together.
Was buying a lot.
So while Q was watching,
does that belong with that? How'd you max that piece?
One face was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like her there. Well, wait a minute, she said she was 18. Now you go from 18. You don't look like the transformation was way different.
Happens very quickly, Zubin.
A lot of surgeries. That's all I can tell you.
So Key spent 3.5 hours watching the Housewives. A lot of people spent about 3.5 hours watching this crazy game between the Texans and the Browns. And we'll tell you what Jay was so crazy about here at the top, particularly with Nick Chubb. So essentially, it's a 3-0 game for a long time. Weather delayed the game, 35, 37-minute delay. There was some really nasty weather out there. And essentially, you got a good situation here with the Browns rolling in. They're going to win the game, and they're going in for a game-winning score. They're up. It's not a big deal. They've got about a little over a minute to go, and Nick Chubb busts one for appears to be 60 yards, right?
Yeah.
So it ends up being a 59-yard run. A 59-yard run. By the way, the score at this point was 10-7 for the Browns.
The score.
So he just walks out of bounds at the 1. It was seen as a smart play in the moment because it allowed the Browns to essentially kneel, run out the clock, and win 10-7. Here's the only problem, Jay. The spread on the game was...
I know what the spread was.
3.5 for Cleveland. The margin ended up being 10-7 at 3 points. I want to mention, let's just say Chubb had gone into the end zone hypothetically and cleared it. It obviously makes the game at minimum, 16-7. That's still a 2-possession game. There's a $1.07 left.
Man, I'm scoring.
So I'm like, score the ball.
There's no way the Texans are scoring twice in 107.
I'm not even thinking about the bettors in Vegas and all.
Oh, a lot of people were.
Don't worry, I was on it.
I'm scoring regardless.
Right.
You know how hard I work for that?
But think
you
about
want me to slide. Man, I'm going in.
Evan hits us with the text, though, Zubin, and he's like, hey, guys, I'm like, man, I stopped betting on the Browns like in week 4. I'm done. I've been done with the Browns for all, but my friends were mad.
Yeah, but Jay and I were talking during the break. Do you remember a few weeks ago when Todd Gurley scored that touchdown accidentally for the Falcons, leaving the Lions some time to go down and win the game on the final play?
But that's a different situation.
I understand, but...
Yeah, it's a different situation. You got to know the situation that you're in. Nick Chubb certainly could have scored with no problem at all. That's why I don't understand why Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield told him to go out of bounds. I just don't. Right. Because in that situation, what if you Herm Edwards and you fumble? Now all of a sudden you the New York Giants and you fumble trying to kneel down.
Are you taking us back to the late 70s here?
I'm just saying. And Herm picks it up and goes the other way.
Like the miracle at the Meadowlands?
The miracle at the Meadowlands. What if you fall in that situation? Trying to be cute. Man, let that dude score, man.
What do you think?
You up by 2 scores with about 40 seconds to go.
Basically, yeah.
If they come back with 40 seconds to go, down by 2 scores, you deserve to lose.
That's fair, too.
You run the ball in the end zone. It's not even a question for me. I mean, if I get open, it's like this thing almost in basketball. If you have a chance to go up, multiple possessions, I'm going to go up multiple possessions. I'm going to take the ball down. I'm going to dunk the ball. You finish the game all the way through.
I don't understand why they told him to slide down. Maybe they just want to get into a habit of doing that or something. I don't know.
Now, keep in mind, that is the question you want to know after he scored. Here's what head coach Kevin Stefanski told Chubb before the big play.
The play by Nick there at the end is indicative of the type of player he is. We told him, hey, get the first and game's over, go down. We have a code word for that. And he said, yes, sir. And ripped down the sideline there and just did his job, and we're looking for smart, tough dudes, and Nick Chubb is that.
That's all fine and dandy and cute and everything, and he's a smart guy. I get it. But, man, let that dude score, man.
All right.
Because anything could happen.
Sure.
What if you get underneath the center and you want to 6-tight diamond kill the clock, and you want to kneel down, 4 downs, and get out of there?
Victory formation.
Victory formation. What if he fumbles? I'd rather score than fumble.
I agree with you.
Like,
9, especially.
And here's the thing, too. Nick Chubb is walking away from that game saying, okay, great. I'll get praise. I did the right thing by coach.
That's fine.
That's fine. But at the end of the day, man, like, these are things that I deserve that. I deserve to have a touchdown off that possession.
If it was a situation where the time would have allowed them to come back, I could certainly see sliding down, getting the first down. Sure. But he went untouched, so you might as well just go ahead and walk into the end zone.
One thing I want to bring up with you, Key, you were hot on this yesterday when we were all talking about the games. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb collectively rushed for 230 yards, 168 in the second half. Whether you're up 3-0, the ability to salt away a game, particularly as the weather gets bad in Cleveland and other places around the league, is going to be great. But in many ways, that running back combination was what they're trying to win with, taking some pressure off of Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
And I know you really had some thoughts on where Baker being drafted is essentially why the pressure is so great.
Yeah, well, it is. When you're the number 1 overall pick, the pressure mounts. And Jay, number 2 pick in basketball, the pressure is there. People expect for you to be the savior, especially at the quarterback position. And I think being that their style is different than what they wanted to do when they drafted him with the old regime is totally different now. They want to run the football, they want to play action pass, and they want to keep everything nice and safe and play defense. Baker Mayfield, if this was this year's draft or this organization with this coaching staff and this general manager when Baker Mayfield came out, he wouldn't have been the number 1 overall pick. He just wouldn't have. Cleveland and John Dorsey and Hugh Jackson had a philosophy in mind that Baker fit, so they took him as the number 1 guy. They could have very easily traded out of that number 1 overall pick, drafted a bunch, got more players and more draft capital, and still picked him at 4 if they really wanted to. Because remember, they took Denzel Ward at 4, which turned out to be a shutdown corner for them, but they could have taken Denzel Ward or a shutdown corner any other position or any other place in the draft and still got a quarterback, whether it was Josh Allen, whether it was Lamar Jackson or anybody at 4. They didn't have to take him at 1. They took him at 1 because that's what they liked. I don't think Kevin Stefanski and the general manager Barry would have done that if this was them 3 years ago.
Can I defend Baker just a little bit? I think your overall point is correct, obviously, with being the first pick, a lot of pressure for a guy like that, and I agree with your comments. But the last 2 games, the condition weather-wise has been horrible. But like the Raiders, horrible weather conditions. And once again, this game got delayed due to weather conditions, crazy winds. Are we getting into a place where now we're even breaking down Baker Mayfield even more in games that they win? Like, is that where we're going with him now?
It's not really breaking him down. It's really about the value for Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, where they selected him as a number 1
I hear you
pick.
on that. Yeah, that makes sense. But
it's just what they're doing. Okay, so when you draft a guy number 1 overall at the quarterback spot, you want that guy, that Peyton Manning, that Cam Newton, that Matt Ryan at number 2, or Michael Vick at number 1, to take the ball, and everything is built around that quarterback, what they want to do with the quarterback and throwing the football. That's what Cleveland wanted to do under Hugh Jackson and John Dorsey. With Kevin Stefanski, that's not what they want to do. They want to build their team around the running game and around defense and allow Baker to hit 2 to 3 throws a game that make a difference. So when it comes time for contract time, now you get into that, what do we do? Do we pay him the market value of a starting quarterback in the National Football League, even though we're not asking him to throw the ball 35 times a game? Do we give him $30 million plus, like some of the other quarterbacks that are out there that they're asking to throw the ball 30? Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott when he gets healthy.
I mean, you have
Aaron Rodgers.
The answer is easy to that. It's no, right? And nobody, you don't think you would warrant that on the marketplace?
Matt Ryan went 3rd. I'll clean that up. Not 2. I thought he went 2. Who went 2?
We can
Who
look it
won
up.
that draft?
We can look it up. That was almost 13 years ago, but we'll look it up for you.
My mind has been banged up since then a little bit.
But I guess the question, Key, would be, I mean, you make him an offer, but I mean, you have to think that the marketplace wouldn't make him an absurd offer either, considering they're seeing the same thing.
Jake Long, Chris Long, Matt Ryan.
There you go.
You think about it, but think about what I'm saying. Baker Mayfield was drafted as the number 1 overall pick to be the face of the organization.
Which he's done. He's on every commercial.
What?
It's true.
To basically push the ball down the field, the trading for OBJ, Landry. They wanted to build a explosive offense. Then they hired Kevin Stefanski, whose philosophy is run the football, play defense, and every now and then 1 or 2 throws for my quarterback that make a difference in the game.
There's no question about it. We should mention, you mentioned Wentz. It's a battle of struggling picks at the top of the draft. Philadelphia with Wentz, obviously, going number 2 overall, looking to find his footing. Baker going number 1 overall in his draft, looking to find his footing. They will meet Sunday in Cleveland. And as Jay said, we can only hope the weather will be a little better than it was.
You want to pay $40 million for 12 or 20 for 132 yards?
I don't want to pay